Hello? Are we live? Are we live? I think we are. If I'm live, can someone just drop me a quick message, say that it's all working, you can all hear me, all of that sort of stuff? So good to have you here today. I'm glad to be able to do this live stream. It's always nice to be able to connect with the community, and I put out hello, Mr. Two Bad Boy Brown and Miss Woodhouse. Thank you so much for stopping by. As I said, I'm really glad that I could do this. I reached out and I said, because of time differences and things, that not everyone would be able to be with me here live today, and I got tons of questions in advance. So thank you everyone who dropped questions ahead. I have gone through and selected a few that I'm going to cover today. And I just, I'm going to have to do a few of these videos, I think, because I got so many questions in advance. So probably in a few weeks, I will jump on and do another one. But what I thought I'd do is I'd start today with a pre-asked question. If you've got any questions, you can just drop them in the comments in the chat column there, and we'll see how we go. The first question today comes from Monica. I'm just going to read them over here. I'm sorry about the not looking at the camera thing. Monica, who is Nix G on YouTube, she says, what would be the main reason that makes you choose a fountain pen? The design, the brand, the colors, the nib size, others' opinions about its performance? Well, nib. The nib for me is the crux of it all. I do like a nice design of a pen. I do like, the nice aesthetic or the ergonomics, which are very important as well. But if the nib doesn't write well, I can't find a reason for using the pen. If a pen is not particularly pleasing aesthetically, I might not reach to it as often. But generally speaking, if the pen doesn't write, I won't use it. If I don't enjoy the writing experience. Having used so many pens over the years, I kind of know what to expect from most nibs. Of the major brands, I've kind of tried a good range of the nibs that are available. So if a pen has like a medium Yovo nib on it or a fine Bock, I kind of know what to expect from that. So if I'm buying a pen, if it's a nib that I know I don't like, I'm less likely to go down that path. Otherwise, I jump on board and see what I can find. Got a few more people. Hi, Ed and Mental Montasham from Adelaide, Andrew, and of course, and we've got Ben Walsh here, guys. Ben Walsh is Gravitas, designer at Gravitas Pens. I may just do a little plug right now. Yesterday, in the mail, I received a little parcel which included a couple of these. These are the Gravitas Pens packaging for the Skittles fountain pen, which is this beauty. I put this on Instagram yesterday. It is just beautiful. I reviewed last year that one of the final prototypes of the Gravitas Kickstarter pen, and this is the Skittle version of it. That beautiful finish, lovely. I think it's a Yovo nib. I think Ben can probably confirm that for us. And then also I was sent the Twist rollerball pen. These are beautiful designs and they write so well. I did filmed a little unboxing of these yesterday, which I will be going live early next week. They're just beautiful pens. So if you're into, these beautiful sorts of designs, and there are a lot of different finishes that Ben does on these pens. Yeah, it's Yovo, as Ben says there. Jump over to Gravitas Pens, have a look at them, buy them, get them, because they are beautiful and they feel great in the hand. And I don't know if you can see, there's that sort of flat surface there on the rollerball. It just gives such a great place to hold the pen, and it's just these little design things that Ben does so well. In fact, I actually got a question from Ben that I wanted to actually cover here as well today. About, we know about Robert Oster inks. Are there any other Australian pen makers, ink makers, or stationery brands we don't know about? So there are a few ink brands from Australia. Robert Oster, of course, being probably the best known internationally with his incredible range. Hi, Marilyn. Marilyn Darnett. Thanks, everyone, for logging on and watching. It's lovely to be, as I said, great to be sort of part of feeling the community here. So, yeah, the Robert Oster, of course, is the main one. Huge range of inks, great colours, generally pretty good performance. Does some interesting things with shimmy and, lots of bits of sheen and beautiful shading and stuff like that. Other brands, Van Diemen's inks from Tasmania, which is where I'm originally from, the little island at the bottom of Australia. And they have one of the most interesting colour palettes that I have really experienced. They're beautiful colours, great shading and all of that sort of stuff as well. But really, really interesting colours, like really beautiful, earthy, muted tones, right through to some really bright, vibrant colours. There's a couple of other brands like Toucan Inks and also Blackstone Ink, who are making inks. They're Australian as well, which are always worth sort of investigating. As far as pen makers, the two that I really get behind are Peter Dryad at Dryad Pens, who sells a lot through Etsy and places like that. Really beautiful custom-made pens, beautiful acrylics, all of that, just really lovely, gorgeous pens and beautiful craftsmanship. And then there's James Finnis at Pensive Pens, which is a pen retailer which stocks a lot of inks and a few other brands of pens and things as well. But he makes pens. The Serendipity was a sort of a hybrid dip pen, which used a standard Yovo nib and feed, which in a dip pen, so it gives you a bit more sort of writing on a single dip. That was a collaboration between James and Robert Oster, but there's a large range of sort of pens that James has come out with as well, and they're really beautiful. I reviewed one a couple of years ago. If you want to look on my channel, just really, once again, lovely acrylic, beautiful craftsmanship, just really super quality there. Gosh, we've got people from the USA and all over Australia. This is great. So, and it's not the best time for some of you. I understand that. So thank you so much for jumping on. Like, I know it's like 1 a.m. in Ireland at the moment. So thank you so much. I'll continue on with the questions. As I said, if you've got questions that you want to ask live, just drop them in the comments, and I'll try and read them as I go. But I did get, as I said, quite a lot of you want a serendipity bibbity or an itty bitty serendipity. That's a mouthful. If you don't know the Serendipity pen, in all seriousness, check it out. It's a really cool pen for testing inks. It does use a lot of a sample because you are saturating a feed, but you can write like a page of writing with it on a single dip. It's a really cool, sort of design and simple and just such a great concept. Hello, Susan from Chicagoland and from Canada. Lovely to thank you so much again for joining me. Okay, the next question I got isn't just from one person. I got this sort of question or similar sorts of questions from, I think there are about 7 or 8 people who asked a similar question, and that is like, how did I get into opera and that sort of stuff. So this is a sort of a more personal one about me. I've posted a little bit on Instagram and a little bit on YouTube and spoken about the fact that I'm an opera singer. In fact, that's why I'm growing my hair out. This is me growing my hair out and my beard because I'm about to start a new contract. And generally what I do is, yeah, she definitely should give the Serendipity a go. What I generally do is I grow my hair as much as I can in the couple of weeks leading up to the like beginning of a contract, just in case they don't want me to have a beard or clean shaven head or whatever the case may be. Hi from Toronto. Does it post? I got to. Does anyone know of a specialist nib grinding services in Australia? Look, there are a few people who do nib grinding in Australia, but they, as far as I'm aware, it's not commercial. So my best sort of suggestion is that you do go internationally at this stage still. As there are a couple around, and they can be found through like there's Reddit, Australian fountain pen Reddit groups and Facebook groups. If you put a call out there are a couple of people there that do nib grinds. But I do honestly think the best bet at this point is to still like look at the big players internationally. But I don't think it'll be long until we have someone in Australia who can do that sort of and does it commercially. So yeah, how did I get into opera? Well, I started when I was a kid. I was a boy soprano, and I sang in churches and church choirs and solos in funerals and weddings and all of those sorts of things really regularly. I just auditioned for my school choir, and the lady who was taking the auditions was a singing teacher. And she suggested I have singing lessons, and I did. And then I started to gain a bit of attention. I was winning competitions and, as I said, performing quite a lot. And then, like all most men do, went through the voice break in my early teens. And at that point, you don't really know what the future can hold, because not every good boy singer becomes an okay adult male singer. I've been very lucky that through having the same singing teacher from when I was 7, when I auditioned for that school choir, through to when I moved away from Tasmania. So I spent almost 20 years learning from her. She guided me through the voice break, through the transition into my adult voice. And then I did a university degree, postgraduate master's study, all that sort of stuff. And through that, it sort of solidified that this is what I wanted to do. Like through my teens, you don't know that you want to be an opera singer. You just are singing because that's what you do. But I was probably 15 or 16 years old when I really got into opera and really started to investigate what it was and what I could do and how I could do it. And then when we realized that I had a voice there that was appropriate for an operatic career, I said I went to uni, and I then auditioned for a bunch of sort of opera companies and started getting roles, and it was amazing. I just started it. I ended up finding work, and then I moved to Melbourne and fell into work here. One of my party tricks is that I learn quite quickly, and I managed to fill in for singers who weren't able to do roles when I first moved to Melbourne, and learn them quickly and to a pretty decent sort of level. And so, I just sort of picked up from there. And then just before COVID struck, I made my debut for Opera Australia at the Sydney Opera House, singing a role in La Boheme on New Year's Eve. And then COVID struck, and now things are starting to start back up. So my path into opera was, I suppose, normal for an opera singer. But yeah, it was just something I always did, and there's not a lot of opera in Tasmania, so I just did what I could. A couple of questions about that I've got here. Do you remember the first opera you heard or saw? The first opera I saw live was Carmen by Bizet. It was a touring production that went to Tasmania, and I was kind of blown away by it. It was around that same time I saw productions of La Boheme and Così fan tutte and things like that. The first opera I ever saw, like on TV or like DVD or whatever, VHS, whatever it was at the time, I was about... Actually, no, I must have been younger. I must have been like 7 or 8, because I started to get roles as a boy soprano in things. But the first one that I was consciously aware of was The Marriage of Figaro by Mozart, which kind of blew my mind. It was a production from the Met in New York, and it had like Bryn Terfel and Cecilia Bartoli, Renee Fleming and Dwayne Croft and these amazing singers. And I just sort of sat there, on my little TV in my bedroom, just totally blown away by it. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. I love to sing. Miss Marilyn Darling says, I love to sing, but I find that I sound the best in the shower. Even I sound best in the shower. It's a great acoustic, and it's wonderful. Yeah, that's a great Figaro. No, so does it post us? Do you only sing in English? No, I sing in all languages. Across my career so far, I think I've sung in about 21 different languages, everything from English and Italian, German, French, Spanish, Russian, Mandarin, Japanese, Lithuanian, Latvian, Czech, Hungarian. It's lots and lots of languages. It's kind of part of the job. And while I speak a little bit of German and a little bit of Italian, the others you have to learn phonetically and work out what the words are and what they mean so that you can actually really deliver it. I will post the link. Ben asked if you can post the link. I'll see if I can do that. Can I do that in the chat here, I wonder? I'll just see if I can pull one up here on my other screen. Bear with me. You can watch it afterwards. Okay, hopefully it'll start playing. There we go. That should be a link to one of my performances. Which language is Luke M asks which language is the easiest to sing in? There are. I put the three that I love: English, Italian, and German. They all have their pros and cons for me. English because it's a natural language for me, the understanding and all that sort of stuff. It's all there. Italian, just the beauty of the vowels. But I also really love singing in German. The sounds that you can create and the crispness of the consonants and all of that sort of thing make it for me really exciting, and the colours I can create there. Charles DeConnick says he's late. That's okay. We've still got a while to go. In fact, I actually have a question from Charles coming up as my next question. Does it post, have you experienced famous opera houses around the world? Well, I've sung at the Sydney Opera House, which is probably one of the most iconic. I've been to a number of other opera houses. I sung at the Châtelet in Paris, and I've been to places like Covent Garden, the Met, but yet to sing in them, so I'm hopefully going to one day do that. So just backtracking a little bit, the Kelly School of Music at Indiana University claims for its program. Jacobs School. Okay, Jacobs School of Music. Well, I'll put that on my list and try and come out. I've sung in a couple of places in the US over the years. I did a really interesting recital at the Cincinnati School of Music actually at one point, which was kind of, the facilities there kind of blew my mind. It's amazing. I think that covers all the opera bits. My second was Madame Butterfly in Japanese Chinese. Oh wow, that would be a trip. Butterfly in Japanese. It's not an easy language to sing in because there's not a natural accent flow within the language. So I found that's really interesting. Okay, so the next one I have is a question from Charles. Here, and this is another non-pen question that he asked, which I actually kind of enjoyed. And he says, what is my favorite Lego set that I own? He noticed over my shoulder there, the Saturn V rocket and the International Space Station there. He says that he loves the Lego Ideas space sets that have been released. I agree. The Saturn V rocket blew my mind. It was just an incredible, putting that together bit by bit, seeing it come together from all that internal workings to the full outer sort of shell and everything was quite fun. Moving it, on the other hand, was not so fun. Just taking it down from the shelf it used to be on at my old house, I dropped it and had to rebuild big chunks of it. And at that point, once it's just bits that you have to rebuild, using the instructions is kind of pointless. So just like trying to remember and work out and looking at other bits to see how it all sort of went together. I love the Lunar module as well. I've got a couple of non-space ones. I've got like the White House there and the Friends Central Perk Cafe set there, which are too small to see, but they are there. But right now, sitting at the post office for me is the new space shuttle set, which is like 2,400 pieces, and it's super advanced. It has a little Hubble telescope in it. I'm really looking forward to nerding out over that over the coming months. I'm actually, for the next couple of months, I'm back and forth for this opera contract that I have, and I think I'll be spending a bit of time sitting there when I'm back here, just sort of tinkering away, building that space shuttle. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so the next question I got was from Fee Squared. Thank you once again. Thank you to everyone who is logged on, and thank you for sending in questions in advance. If you're watching this later or if you're watching it now, I had a lot of fun reading them all and working out which ones I was going to answer today and putting some forward for the next video and all of that. So thank you. It's great. But Fee Square asked about my current favorites and evolution of personal paper choices for fountain pen use. I made a few videos about fountain pen friendly paper that I love, paper that I don't love so much, but a lot that I have made that I really love. And I suppose, like most fountain pen users, when I first got into the hobby, you're told, Clairefontaine, Tom River is great, Rhodia, all that sort of stuff, avoid Moleskine, all that. I think the older Moleskine is so much better. The new Moleskine just is rubbish, the standard Moleskine, the 70 GSM. So yeah, it was Rhodia, it was Clairefontaine, it was Tomar River, that sort of stuff. But I think over the last few years, as I've really broadened my paper horizons, I've found that there are a couple of brands of paper that I really love. In recent, like this year, I just keep turning to Midori paper. It's just the standard Midori, not the cotton paper, just the standard Midori paper. It's got a beautiful tooth to it. It's not scratchy, but it's sort of got a nice tooth, so you feel your writing on it, which is really beautiful. It's super ink resistant. It's it's got little show through stuff like that, so it's actually good. Like I really love Midori paper. Other paper I really like is optic paper, which Oxford use in their notebooks. So that's Oxford and Hamlin use optic paper. It's a little glossier, and it's got there are less variations, so like less line rulings and stuff like that. And it's super ink resistant, not a whole lot of show through, stuff like that. And it's kind of affordable, particularly if you're in the UK. Optic paper is super affordable. Colt pens over there have a large range of it. It's harder to get here in Australia. Officeworks here in Australia stock a couple of Oxford notebooks, wire-bound notebooks, and they've just started stocking in some stores a hardcover notebook, which is beautiful. I've got a review of that later in the year. So optic paper is really, really great if you can get your hands on that. It's in the black and red notebooks from Oxford. It's just beautiful. But recently, a paper that I've been enjoying using is Grapholo paper. I think it's connected some way to Kobe. I'm not entirely sure yet. I haven't really gone into it. But Grapholo paper is just absolutely beautiful. It's a bit more like Midori in terms of like the tooth of the paper, but it's got even less show through, and ink shades on it beautifully and sheens. It's just glorious. So Grapholo paper, not cheap though. So if you can get it, try it. But yeah, so that would be my paper suggestions. Follow-up question, Charles says, is planning on some Hamlin notebooks for the next school year. Great. Yep, they're awesome. I've been using them recently I write out my lyrics and stuff as I'm learning a role. Optic paper for me, those books from Officeworks are just what I've been churning through. And those I have that thing where you can take the photo with your phone to take a photo of the page, and you scan it into an app and that sort of stuff. Okay, Mr. Two Bad Boy Brown asks, Mick, by any chance, do you know of any place that still sells the Visconti Homo sapiens bronze? This guy, Dame Etna there, my favourite, with palladium nibs. No, I don't. The best chance for that is secondhand now. When they moved over to the in-house gold nibs, I think they're in-house, getting the palladium nibs became really impossible. In fact, I wanted to replace the nib on mine, and even though it's a Bronze Age, I had to get the plain chrome coloured nib in the right nib size, because that's all I could still find. So yeah, they are rare now. So if you find one anywhere, grab it, but I can't think of anywhere myself, unfortunately. Does It Post also asks here, when did you start getting serious about fountain pens and decide to start a YouTube? Well, I've made a little video about this, which is going live in a little while. I'll talk about my upcoming videos in a bit. Make sure I do. Someone remind me a little later. I used fountain pens when I was younger. I won't go into too much detail here, so you can watch the video, because, you know, views on that one as well. But I was using fountain pens as a teenager and moved sort of away from them through uni, and then gradually started to, you know, get back into it. You know, I got a Lamy All-Star and a couple of Chinese pens and things like that. And then I think it was about 2016, I took the plunge and just went, no, I'm all in on this. And I think I started making videos in 2017, and just as a way of being part of the community. And then a few people got interested, and some subscribers and all of that, and you guys all start watching, and it's wonderful. So, and it means a lot to me that you do watch. I do this as a hobby. I don't get paid to do this stuff. Like, no one does. Like, yes, I get sent, you know, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pens to review. For those of you who weren't here at the start, this is the Ben Walsh Skittles fountain pen, the Gravitas. It's just beautiful, and I'm very grateful to all the wonderful people that support my channel and support what I do here. But for me, it started as a way of sort of having an outlet or a hobby that wasn't music related, because everything I was doing, I was singing, and then I was playing piano, and then I was composing, and I was conducting and teaching, and everything I was doing just ended up being music based. And I wanted to have something I could do that I was passionate about and interested in, and I'm really passionate about pens, and I wanted to have something like that I could really dedicate some time to sort of get away from music occasionally. So that's been really, really great. Plexi Bertrand, another Chicagoan here. Thank you so much, everyone, for logging in and watching from all over the world. It's really, really, really lovely. So it's great to be here. Fountain pen, yeah, we all love fountain pens. Who does? The amount of people I've converted now, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, we'll go to the next pre-asked question. I can't say this now. It's Xiesuli Zuli. I'm not exactly sure, so I'm sorry for saying your name wrong. The question is, though, how do you manage the rabbit hole of obtaining new pens and being able to use them all? Do you have a number cutoff? I would love to have a number cutoff. I'm in a very fortunate position because I do review these pens, that I get sent them to review them. I'm very, very lucky. I'm very grateful. I try and separate, and this will come into another question I will answer in a second. I try and separate a little bit my my reviewing side and my personal use and personal collection side. I would love to be a minimalist, but just like looking around my house, you see that's not going to happen. I've got Lego sets everywhere and photos and books, and, you know, that's life. You know, like, I'm not going to be a minimalist. I would love to be a minimalist. So separating those two parts of my pen life I find really important. I do that with my inks and my pen use, and also my personal use. My personal collection, the pens I buy, the pens I seek out, that I, you know, spend my personal money on, I try and only now be really purposeful in what I get. to start for a few years there, I was just buying everything I could get my hands on, and I was spending so much money, way more money than I probably could afford, realistically, or should spend. So in recent years, I've really been trying to scale that back. And being sent pens for review does help with that like FOMO sort of side of things, but the buying them and actually like owning them, if I am sent a pen to review, I use it for 2 to 3 weeks minimum, get a couple of inks through it, really give it a go. Then if I'm doing my personal pens, they may not get quite as much use, but I'm more purposeful in which ones I choose, which ones I ink. And I think it's really, that becomes like, I'll hold up these 2 pens, the Visconti again, Homo sapiens, and then the Pilot Custom 823. These are pens that are part of my collection that I use all the time. They are pens I bought myself. They were pens I bought to, if you watch that Applebin video that I did, these were pens I bought to mark significant moments in my career. And I am purposeful in inking them and what I ink them with. And I think that for me, that's how I also control it, is the fact that I don't need every pen, because the pens I have, I love, and I use them very purposefully, and I am very pedantic about what I use in them, so that every time I use them, I love using them. I don't think that answers the question necessarily, because there is no answer. Everyone's going to react differently to it. But for me, it's being purposeful and loving what I have. And if I don't love something, I pass it on or I don't keep it. But if I love something, then I take great joy in it and using it. It's that whole spark joy thing, the Marie Kondo. So that for me is how I manage it. If I don't love something, I don't keep it. If I want a new pen, if I can justify it, if it's something that, if I know I'm going to enjoy the nib, if I really love the design, something like that, I might look at it. Otherwise, it's just money that I don't need to spend, and I try and avoid that if I can. What am I feeling on mechanical pencils? Charles asks. Yeah, look, I use them for music. I use both hard case pencils like the Palomino Blackwings and mechanical pencils. I've got right here sorry, just restart screen. It's just a TWSBI Pagoda Junior mechanical pencil. I don't get fancy mechanical pencils because I tend to lose them. I leave them at rehearsals on music stands, stuff like that. But I do love them. I do use them all the time. And yeah, I think I came to fountain. I was a big pencil person before I was a fountain pen person. Little known fact, it's now deleted, but I used to have a blog where I reviewed 2B pencils before I reviewed fountain pens. So they were terrible reviews and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just writing about them. But yeah, I love pencils. What do we got here? Sad to learn that Blackstone ink closed down. Yeah, seems to sudden Sydney Harbour Blue. Look, Blackstone, I don't know. Like, there were a couple of brands that folded in Australia recently. Bookbinders, not Bookbinders, Standard Bindery, sorry. It used to be Bookbinders Online. Standard Bindery were making inks and they closed down, and they were beautiful inks. Old Friend is just one of the most, and Road Trip are two of the most beautiful inks I've used in a long time. Blackstone, I think I would like to see them start up. They were doing really interesting things. Yeah, Sydney Harbour Blue, Barrier Reef Blue, really beautiful inks. So we can only hope and see what happens. Susan says that you don't need all the pens. My voice saying that in her head after I said that in a video. You don't need all the pens. You just need the pens that work for you and that you love. And so, like, I scaled back my collection a lot last year, and I'm finding I'm using less and less of them. The pens you love are the pens you're going to use. And so if you don't love something, you don't need it. You don't need all the pens. You just need the best ones. Standard Bindery was a huge loss. Miss Marilyn Darling says, no, Susan, I need all the pens. There is an argument for that. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I wish I had a library of fountain pens. Wish I had there's a couple of places where you can like rent to try fountain pens. I can't remember the name of it. There's an Instagram page, PenShare or something like that. And a couple of companies in Australia like Larry Post who do a pen trying thing where you can pay a certain amount and have a pen for a couple of weeks before you buy it. They're great services. So look up things like that. There are a few like that. Okay, where are we? Okay, Plexi Bertrand asks, if you designed a pen to represent your channel, what company maker would you collaborate with and what would it look like? Oh gosh. I'll preface this by saying there are a lot of international pen makers. PenSwap, yes, that's a temporary sharing tool as well. That's great. Sorry. There are lots of international pen makers who I really, really love. A couple, even big names like Ryan Kruzak, people like that I would love to collaborate with. Ben Walsh Design, Gravitas Pens, once again, they're amazing. They speak to me on so many levels. I would personally probably, being Australian, I would probably try and look at supporting an Australian maker if I was doing that. And so Dryad Pens, Peter Dryad there, just as I said earlier in the video, beautiful workmanship, just beautiful materials, all that sort of thing. My pen would be flat top, flat bottom, decent sort of size, not too small. Would take cartridge converter because that is my preferred method. Just easy to clean when you're changing things a lot. It would have a number 6 nib. And I would probably, being me, I'd probably go like a grey navy sort of combination of colours for the first one with silver trim. That would be my pen. That speaks to me. I'd probably try and include some musical reference somehow. I don't know how. I've not really thought about it, but yeah, that would be probably where I would go with that. The next question, I have to keep moving through these. Ed Riley. Thank you, Ed, for all your support and questions. It's great to have you around. He actually said just before here, I have about 15, but 8 I really enjoy. So I'm actually going to cover kind of that here. He asked, practices question, I finally have enough fountain pens that I love to use, but too many to keep inked up at once. I'm curious how you rotate through your pens. Do you ink up a couple until they are out of ink and then wash them and ink up some more? Or do you ink them up for a set period of time, and if they still have ink in them, put it back in the bottle, then clean them out? I realize that because you test pens, your practices will be different, but I'm curious what you do and why, understanding that there is no right way to do this. There is no right way to do this. And that's a really interesting question. So thanks, Ed, for asking that. So yes, because I am reviewing pens and inks and stuff, I do churn through a lot doing that, particularly over the last little while. Which I still need to comment on the videos coming up, but I'll get back to that. But as I said, I keep the review side of things and my personal side of things sort of separate. So I'll ink up a pen for review and I'll use it until I have enough of a relationship with that pen to review it. And then I will clean, after I've done the review, I will clean it. And then most of those pens get used again and again anyway, because they're beautiful pens. But in that instance, that's sort of what I will do. I will, if it's sometimes I will put the ink back in the bottle, but generally speaking, the ink will be low enough just for me to clean it out. On the personal side of it, I will use a pen until it's clean, as I said, until it's run dry. As I said, I don't, if I have, most of the time I'll have between sort of 6 and 8 pens inked up, and that will be a number of review pens or inks, and then my personal ones. And the personal ones will normally be 3, maybe 4 pens at best. And they're for like an everyday writer, something for writing out, lyrics, so that has a really high ink capacity, something that is, a brighter color or an interesting nib, and then sort of whatever's taken my fancy. But they are inked up specifically. They are inked up with intent. And so I will use them because I love them, and then I will work my way through until they are completely dry, and then I clean them. And then I generally try and I will clean as I go. I hate having like a big bucket of pens to clean up. That happens way too often. So generally speaking, I do try and clean as I go. Next to my kitchen sink, I just have like a little setup that I just wash through a pen and put it aside and let it dry and then put it away. And then I'll ink up when I need to ink up next. So it's not like I have a constant, like every week I ink up 5 new pens or 1 new pen each day, or it's when they run dry or when I'm done with them for the review. So there is no right way of doing this, whatever works for you. If you follow good basic pen hygiene, if you don't let them dry out, then whatever works for you. Okay, what do we got here? I have a question. I'm forever looking and admiring vintage pens. This is from Miss Woodhouse. Yet I'm scared to just buy one off eBay. I'm scared of purchasing either a fake or a dud. Any advice? Vintage pens aren't my specialty. I have a few Parkers and things like that I love. I think that the key is to buy from trusted sellers, and a good way of doing that is through a community, finding a community of people that like on Reddit or Facebook, and there's things like Virtual Pen Show and stuff like that. They're a little bit more trusted than just buying from a random seller on eBay. Look at the history of the seller, all of that sort of stuff. Really look at the pictures of the pen and hope that what you're getting is real. But as Andrew Brennan here says, for acquiring vintage pens, maybe find them through estate sales. It's probably a really good way of doing it. If you can actually see it in person, if you go antique shops, things like that, you're more likely to get it something that is legit. Yeah, actually, yeah. So Pierre Gustafson, I can't say it. Chris Rapp and Wosky Squirrel are great for vintage pens. They feature a lot of them on their channels and give great advice. So check out those channels. That's a great Gustafson. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Great advice. Thanks, Marilyn. Okay, another question here. This is from Andrew Sobey. Why don't Lamy make stub nibs in black? That's the only thing stopping him from buying some of their black trim pens. Look, I have been asking that for the last few years. I think it is such a waste. Because there is Gustafson. We'll work it out. The black nibs, the stub nibs. So the stub nibs, I work in a part-time in a stationery shop, which is big on Lamy, and so I get asked this question in the store. I've asked it of the brand. Basically, the stub nibs are technically they're nibs for the Joy pen. And while the Joy does have a black trim version, they are basically just those 1.1, 1.5, 1.9, and they are the plain chrome coloured steel nibs, they're good nibs, and they work really well on a Safari, All-Star, Studio, all of those pens. But the pens the nibs that are designed to go with the Safari, sold with the Safari, are only extra fine through to broad. And so that when they have a black trim, they get a black nib. And that's basically all I've been able to get from it. If anyone has any more information about that, it's really interesting, because, you think like that dark lilac or the petrol or something like that with a stub nib would be great. I've actually ground a couple of black nibs. I get like a medium or a broad and I grind it down myself to a stub for a couple of them. So yeah, that's like a bit of a, I really don't know. They really should. The next question Andrew asked was, are there any vendors for Robert Oster in 5 to 10 ml sample bottles? No. There are sample bottles, like a lot of people do the samples of Robert Oster inks, but there's nothing in that sort of size. Like you get the odd people that do 4 milliliter samples. Robert K used to do those little 15 ml bottles, which were great, but not cost effective to him as the brand. So yeah, get your regular samples, the 2 to 4 milliliter ones, or a great way I've actually found for trying and sampling inks is going to, when we can, going to pen meets and groups and things like that. People are really generous. Like, I know when I've gone to these things, have friends with it, I'm more than happy to share ink, so we can sort of try them out, but you just get the little vial. I would have loved for Robert to do the 15 ml bottles, but as I said, they're not cost effective for him. It costs almost as much to do the 50 ml as it does for the 15. So, but like bigger samples would be great. Like in general, bigger samples would be great. 2 ml is enough for a couple of fills of a regular pen, but if you're getting 5, you really know the ink, and you've got enough there to actually really be able to, spend some time with the ink over a period of time. Next question comes from FIFA Bros 855. He asks, "Have you ever been to New York City? If not, do you plan on visiting?" I have been to New York. I spent almost a couple of weeks there, like almost a decade ago. Did some auditions. I almost ended up working in New York for 6 months as a singer, but decided to go down another path with my career at that point. I was very, very young. I wasn't ready to move away from Australia, but I was offered a 6-month contract at a company there, an opera company, and would have been lovely. I loved New York. I loved the Natural History Museum and the libraries and all the beautiful bookshops and all those sorts of things. And just walking around those streets was lovely. And of course, I really wanted actually to study at Juilliard School when I was younger. So lots of great things in New York, and I do plan on visiting again. I was supposed to visit year before last, but other things once again sort of snowballed and happened. So hopefully I'll get back to New York as soon as I can. So my last question today from the pre-asked questions is, this is from Tim, who asked, "Do you ever struggle with hard starts or baby's bottom on Rhodia paper?" The reason he asks is a couple of medium fountain pen nibs, which seem set up by in-house nib specialists, struggled on Rhodia with Waterman Serenity Blue ink. He says he usually goes for extra fine or fine nibs, which have had no problem with Rhodia, but mediums struggle. Yeah, the baby's bottom thing, you are going to find that more on broader nibs. So basically, the issue is with a fine nib, you've got less front on the nib, so there's less space for that little gap, that baby's bottom to form. Whereas with a broad nib, you've got more tipping on the end there, and so there's more space to actually polish. So I think you're more likely to get it on a broader, medium to broad nib. And so that can be an issue. Places who tend to do in-house nib work can over-polish the nibs. And over-polishing does lead to that baby's bottom issue. It's easier to fix yourself if you're willing to, or to send to a nibmeister and get it fixed. But on Rhodia, the kind of paper it is coated. So it is smoother, but the issue with the coating is also paper bag. Yeah, draw on a brown paper bag. Can fix the, we'll run it around the bottom of a ceramic mug if you're willing to, at your own risk. But yeah, you are able to, you can do that work yourself. But because those papers are coated paper, any oil you have on your hand or any moisture is also going to stay on the paper. And because something like Waterman Serenity Blue is quite a water-based ink, it's just going to glide, and you're not going to get like the same purchase on the page if there's oils and stuff. Most inks will do that. Yeah, you use a handguard so you don't get the oils on the page. Thank you, Marilyn. These are great. This is why these chats are so important and so great, because the whole community can get involved and give the advice and actually, lock in what we're, solutions. So if you are having problems with a nib like that, do think about polishing, doing a bit of sort of work on it yourself. A toothier paper will help. There's a particular brand of paper, I'm not going to mention it because I'm discussing some stuff with them, but there's one particular brand who I find actually does this more than any other brand. So just, yeah, if you've got hand oils, if you've got a smooth pen, if you use extra fine and fine, you're less likely to have it. So just, yeah, you can, rough the nib up a little bit, give it a bit of, hard love, or send it away to actually get tuned and fixed. But yeah, watch out for the hand oils as well, because that can be a really big case in it. So that's today. That's the end of the questions I have been asked. I'm running out of time now because the sun's coming in quite bright. So I just wanted to comment quickly about the videos I've got coming up. As I mentioned at the very start of this live chat, I am about to start an opera contract. So I my next few months of videos are basically all shot in advance. For the last month, I've been working really hard to produce videos to keep content coming for you. It's all stuff I've wanted to review or look at, or that has been asked, or I've been sent to review. There's a couple still to go because still getting a few bits and pieces in, but they are all shot in advance. So I will try and keep up. Hand oil on rhodia is a big issue. It really is. But the paper is beautiful. So use a hand guard or whatever the case may be. I wanted to keep content coming for you. I wanted to keep making it. I love doing this. And so there'll be 2 videos a week for the next 4 months or so, which are all basically pre-shot. I will keep up with the comments. I'll keep up with the questions, all of that sort of stuff. But I will be away. There are a couple of videos I'm going to be shooting while I'm away. I'll do another Q&A while I'm away, or 2 if I have time. This has been really fun today. I've really enjoyed this, and thank you for participating and watching and asking your questions, and also for providing information for the other viewers here today. Once I'm back from more permanently from the tour, I will go back to doing sort of reviews in real time, a bit more in real time. Susan says, keep posting on Instagram too. Oh, definitely. Yes, I will be posting. Don't have to worry about that. Instagram is my, love my Instagram. So thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for being involved and for, sort of getting behind my channel. Please keep stuff coming with the, review requests and things like that. If you've got things you want me to look at, I say this at the end of every video. If you've got products you want me to look at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel, get in touch. I really do mean that. If there are things you want me to look at, you'll notice that if you've asked me to review something or talk about something, there's a little, it may be a little while later, but a lot of the times I do cover it. I really do try. I try and source it. I try and get the manufacturer or distributor to send me something so I can look at it. But if you want to support the channel, you can. You can sponsor it. You can get in touch, and we can, if you've got things you'd like to send me, or sponsor a review by providing, sending me an item, or, in occasions people have given me gift vouchers for particular, e-vouchers for particular stores so I can buy a particular item, that sort of thing. Get in touch. Always do that. I'm really looking forward to keeping the channel going, and thank you for your support. And today's been really fun. Thank you, everyone. And we'll call it a day here, I think. So thank you, and I'll see you soon.